Hey guys, so now that we created the account locking, we can now use it in our forgot password. So what I want to do is finish up our test for forgot password, and then we'll actually go ahead and implement the resolver. Now I've wrote a couple comments here just to remind me what the last things that we want to do. The first thing is lock the account up here. So we're just going to call await lock account, and we're going to use that same function we made in the last video, passing in the user ID and Redis. So these two functions right here is what we're going to actually be using in our resolver over here for the mutation for the send forgot password email. I'm not actually calling the mutation here because we wouldn't get that URL back. But those two are basically what's going to be in there, and we'll see that when we actually implement it. And then the next thing is we've locked the account. I just want to make sure that we actually can't log into the account. So I'm going to say const, and we can just, I'll put this in an expect block. So we're going to wait client.login, and we're just going to log into our account, the email, and the password that we had before, and what we should get back. So expect to equal. We should get an error back, and it should tell us our account is locked. So we should have data here. Inside of data, it should have the name, which is login, and then we should get an array of errors, and we should get a single error with the path, which should be on email, of course, because that's what we always send back. And then the message is lock account, forgot password lock account. And this message, if you don't remember, is coming from our login error messages. So that's just, we should send back the account is locked right here. And we should unlock the account when we change the password. So, okay, so that's what we're doing here. So we're just making sure you cannot log in after you've locked your account. Then we're actually going to change the password. And now what I want to do first is to actually try changing the password with the password that's too short. So I'm going to expect, we're going to wait client.forgot password change. Let's say our password is either a blank string or just maybe the letter A. We'll pass in our key, and then we can say .to equal. And this is something where we can expect kind of a similar response that we get here. And this is going to be the name of our mutation, which I forgot what we called it. So here we go, forgot password change. And the path should be new password, because that's what's wrong. And then we can create an error message. Error messages.ts export const password is too short, which is basically, I think we already did an error message over here. Yep, password not long enough. So what I think I'm going to do is actually not even create an error messages from my forgot password, but actually just reuse what we did for a register. So for password to, yeah, not long enough. So this is the message we expect to get back when we try to use this. And after that, we're going to try to forget the password again. And here we shouldn't have any problem with new password. This should be long enough, and everything should work. The key should still be valid, but after we actually change the password and get null back, we want to make sure that we can't keep changing the password. So for example, I'm going to wait client.change password, and maybe I want to change it to that instead. .to equal. So what this should do is I should actually get a new error message. So data, and we can copy this. And what this error message should say is basically an invalid key, that this key has already been used to change the password once, and you shouldn't be able to change the password again. So for this, we will have to actually create an error messages.ts, and we'll just export const expired key. Key has expired. And I don't know if we actually want to say the word key here, because that might not make sense to the end user. This is something we might want to let's call it expired key error. And we might want to change the wording on this when actually giving this to a user. I'm not exactly sure the best way to phrase this, but expired key error is what we expect to get back. And this is really the same error that we should get if we wait more than I forget how long we said. Was it 20 minutes? Whatever we coded for how long the key lasts for in Redis. And then lastly, we can keep this bit where we just verify that we can now log in. Our account should get unlocked and we can log in with our new email and our new password. All right, so let's go ahead and code up the resolvers now for this. So I'm actually just going to get rid of all this stuff, and we're going to start scratch. So enter mutation, and let me just double check. Okay, good. We call it dummy2. So let's do send the email one first. And we don't really care about the first one. We don't really care about the second one. The arguments, I don't think we're getting anything except just an email, which actually we do care about. So let's make sure we grab that. And then lastly, we just need Redis from the context. Okay. And the things that we're going to put inside of this, and I want to get the type for this. And to do that, I'm going to need to A, clean up all this stuff, and B, add forgot password change to the mutation. So we'll paste it in here, and we have a few arguments for that. Password, new password, key, and then we want to get Redis from that as well. And we'll fill this out after we generate the keys and whatnot. For now, we can just put a blank return null and a blank return null as well. And I guess I'm going to comment this out and just put underscores so we don't have the little green lines. Oops. There we go. Alright, so now we can clean up all this stuff up here. I want to run gen types, and I don't think I call it gen types. I call it gen schema types. Gen schema types. And we'll see if anything else in our project doesn't compile. So some imports are unused inside our logout resolver. So we can head over there, and I guess we're just not using these constants. Okay. So we can remove that. I guess we moved it all to the remove all user session when we did the logout, that we don't need those anymore. We can run it again, and we're just going to do this until it compiles. Okay, cool, it compiles. So now in our forgot password resolver, I can have those, and here I'm going to say gql.forgotPasswordChange, and now these should have types string, perfect, and this as well. Send forgot password. Okay. So let's actually write the code for these, and then for this one, we are just going to copy what we have in our test. We're just going to run these two. And if we were doing this for real, let's make this async. But yeah, if we were doing this for real, one thing that we would do is we'd actually pass in the URL to the front end, which does not exist. So we'll just add a to-do note for whenever we actually implement the front end. Add, and then afterwards you'll send an email. So add front end URL, and then also then send email with the URL. Okay, so these are 2 to-dos that we need to do. The other thing, and I guess that's really what we're going to use this email for. So we actually can just ignore this argument as well, because if we're not sending the email, we don't care about it. But we do need to get the session, because we need to get the user ID. So we'll get the session dot, oh, what am I talking about? So I was about to just grab the user ID from the session, but of course they don't have the user ID in their session because they are forgetting their password. And really what we look this up by is the email, so we do need this. So to know which user account or user ID to lock all this stuff for, it's based on the email that the person sent. Now, this is kind of interesting, and I don't know if I should change this. This allows anyone to, I guess, arbitrarily lock someone's account, which is kind of dangerous. So that means I could just lock someone's account for forgot password. I could go in and just do that. So I don't know if this is exactly what we want to happen. Let's go ahead and implement it, and I guess we can think about this at a later date. So we'll wait, user, we'll find one. We need to make sure to import this where, and the email is equal to email. And then we can get the user ID from that. So user.id, user.id. So that's assuming we get a user. If we don't get a user, we'll just return null. So I don't know what we want to do in these 2 cases. So assuming we don't find a user, the user passed in a bad password, or bad email, I guess what we can do is just return an error message. So let's see what we're supposed to return from this. Okay, so we're just returning a boolean, true or false, whether it worked. So I'm going to say true, true, and I guess I should return false here. So assuming someone sent this mutation, I guess what I want to send back is an error message and be like, hey, this user doesn't exist. So we'll do the usual, say path, email, message, and then we'll create our error message here. So export const email, email, or I guess user not found error. Could not find user with that email. Again, we might not want to present the user with this information, but we'll at least return this, and the front end could show this if they want to, and this is something we might want to change later on. So user not found, and then we'll lock their account. If we do find a user, then we'll send the link, and then what they'll do is after they click on the link, they'll go over here to forgot password change, and this is where they'll unlock their account. And I guess really what we should also send this email to, and this should be to do, is if you did not forget your password, I guess we have to look into it. I'm not sure the best way to handle this. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I'll look into this as well. But we're basically allowing anyone to lock their account, so maybe we shouldn't lock their account right away. I know what OWASP does is it asks some questions to the user before it locks their account. Like they ask secret questions, like what was your first pet or whatnot. But that's not like, if I go to Facebook, I guess Facebook might do it, but like Dropbox or like Evernote, I don't know, like big companies that build forgot password out, I don't think they're doing that. So I'm curious what they do. I guess they probably don't lock their account. So this may or may be something we take out later. But anyway, let's continue implementing this. So forgot password change. So they're going to give us a new password, a key, and then what we want to do is first verify that we get a good key. So we'll actually, I don't know if we want to verify the key first or if we want to verify the new password. I guess the key is the best thing to verify first. So we'll get the user ID, I believe is what we're storing in this key. We can confirm it. Yep, we stored the user ID here. So I'm going to say redis.get, and we're getting something because it's just a single key, and we're going to pass in, we need to make this function asynchronous too, and here we're going to just pass in our prefix, which is in constants, and it is forgot password prefix. So forgot password prefix, and then we're also going to pass in our key. So we can check if user ID, so if it exists. If it's null, we're going to return invalid key. So here the path is going to be key and the message. So I think I actually, in the test over here, I changed what the path should be. I said the path was new password. I guess the path is really key is the thing that is wrong, not new password. And we're going to say expired key error. So basically there's something wrong with their key. Either we didn't ever put in Redis or that it expired somehow. So we'll return that. So next thing I want to do is to check and make sure that the password is good, that it's the right length, all that fun stuff. And we did something like that over here. So this is our YEP schema, and we did that for our register resolver. So what I want to do is kind of like take how we did it here and abstract it. So I want to basically make a central schema, because password is going to be the same check both times. So I'm going to create a file called YEP schemas.typescript, and here I'm just going to put in basically any kind of shared schema. So in this case, I kind of want to share some of the schema, or at least the password part here. So yeah, so I'm going to import as YEP from YEP, and I'm going to say export const register password validation, and we'll grab that error message in there. So this I can now use in multiple places. So I'm going to use it here. So password, we're going to say password, not long enough. We want to use register password validation. Register password validation. So okay, that same validation I now want to use over here in my forgot password. And I'm going to say const schema. And I'm going to do the same thing I did over here. So we can copy that. And I just saw we can get rid of this because we're not using it anymore in our resolver for register. Let's go ahead and import YEP from YEP. Alright, we don't need our email. There's only one field in this case I want to check. We could also just check the password by itself, but I like checking it like this because we can reuse our function that we made over here, where we call YEP format error. Okay, so let's put this here. So here we want to validate new password. So I'm going to say new password, pass it in as an array, and here we'll format any errors that we get wrong. So okay, that's pretty much it for that part. So we have two pieces done. We first validate that they gave us a good key. We then validate that they gave us a good password. So if we get a good password and a good key, we can move to the next step. So assuming we got both of those things, we can update the user. So user.update and criteria. Oops. It's the first parameter and second. And I always forget which is which for update. I think I pass in the where clause for where we're doing this. So I'm going to pass in the user ID, which is going to be an ID. So we're going to update the user and await. So we're going to update the user based on the user ID that we got from Redis, because we already stored. That's how we know which user to update. And the things that we're going to change are locked. And I forget what we called it. We just call it locked. So in our entity, we called it forgot password locked. So we can now unlock their account. So this is going to be false. And we're going to say password is equal to new password. And now, keynote, we do not need to hash the password. Or do we need to hash the password? So we're running currently here before insert. Oops. Let's add a before update. So I was wrong. We do need to hash the password. So hash password before update. This should be hash password before insert. And get rid of that. Okay. So we'll say if this dot password. So if they're updating a password, then we're going to say this dot password and hash it before it actually updates. And maybe we want to just put this logic inside of that resolver, because we're not always going to be hashing, and I'm not sure if this if statement will catch it. So in this case, let's go ahead and move the logic over here to our login. Oop, not our login, sorry. There we go, forgot password. So we'll say const hash password. We need to import bcrypt, but we're going to pass in our new password. And then hash password is what we're going to update as bcrypt from bcrypt. And that's bcrypt.js that we're using. And then we return null. Okay, I think this is all the things that we wanted to do. I'm going to go ahead and remove this function. And let's try running the tests and see what happens. I think we should be good, but I could have forgot some things. But I think we made our test pretty inclusive, or it's testing a lot of the cases. Okay, so I just had a problem with, oh, it's an entity before update. I added that thing and then I removed it, but it was still importing it. Okay. And should be, let's look at our test to see what part fails. Oh, it looks like, is it running all of our tests? I guess, did we change something that would, oh, we changed the schema, that's why register. All right, so cool. Let's see what's going on here. So make sure it works. What's the name of our test? Nice. So this is when we're checking login. Make sure you can't log in to locked account. Okay. So we're expected to get this back. Anonymous function, but we received account is locked. Okay, so I just passed in the wrong thing here. So this is not what I want. I want the error. So forgot password locked error. All right, so that was kind of an interesting. That was just me messing up the test. We'll rerun that. Okay, so make sure it works. So this is the next thing. So we expected to get password must be at least 3. But instead we got the key expired. Okay, so the key expired for some reason. So I'm guessing we're having trouble finding the Redis key. I think I might have just messed it up possibly. So what we're going to do is we're going to console log the key here. And we can see what we're getting. So this is the value of the URL. So I'm going to say, and here's the key basically right here. Console.log key is, oops, I just pasted the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, so this is what I should be checking in my resolver. So we should get forgot password this thing. So in my forgot password resolver, let's go ahead and console log this console.log. This is what I'm looking for. And then let's also console log, oh, haha, that should be a not. So if we don't get a user ID, okay, we're good. We're at this console log, we don't need that. And then our test. Okay, so that was just a silly mistake. So reset the test. What I was doing, I went through that fast. So if we don't get a user ID, then we want to throw an error. I was doing the opposite. Okay, so I just added a bang sign in front of that. And all right, so password must be at least 3 characters. But okay, so this is good. Well, it's good we caught it. It's bad that it's wrong. But where is this? That's the response. I think it's right here. Okay, so we expected to get path is new password, but indeed it just went and worked. It should have been a password is too short. And that's when we pass in the password of just A. Okay. So new password. So we're validating the schema for that. And that's why. I had the name wrong on that schema. So I'm actually, the tests are really paying off. It's catching a lot of little typos that I made while doing this. I used to not test as much, but I'm actually really enjoying doing it now. It's actually a really fast feedback loop of like what I'm doing wrong. So here's another one. We expected to get key has expired, and that's another thing that I forgot to do. So we need to expire the key. So I'm going to say redis.delete, and we'll delete this key. So I guess I should say const redis key, and that's the key that we're going to get. And this is the key we're going to delete down here. Redis key. And let's await that. And I guess we should really delete this key. Should we really delete the key before or after? Let's delete it here. I guess we could delete both at the same time. That seems actually like the best thing. So right now we're doing this synchronously. So let's say, so const update promise. And this is going to be const delete key promise, and we want to await both of them happening, so they're going to happen at the same time. Update promise and delete key promise, so they should now run in parallel. And every time I make changes to the code, I have to restart the test. And the reason why we're deleting the key for this is once you change your password once, should have to go through the process again. You shouldn't just be able to click on that link. And awesome. So all the links or all the tests have worked. That's it for this video, guys. This turned out to be kind of a long one, but we finished up forgot password. I'm curious what you guys think about the whole locking account thing. I didn't realize that till we just implemented it here. Basically, anyone can lock anyone's account this way. Because I'm not asking for someone's confirm that they are that user, which a lot of sites do. So maybe we just forebode and just remove the whole account locking thing is probably what I'm leaning for. But I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.